It's Kevin. Welcome back to Relationship Ready. Thanks for coming. Today, we're going to talk about narcissism and trauma. Those two big buzzwords currently, and for the past few years. We're going to combine them a little bit too. Talk about how they relate. So let's start off with a definition of trauma. Trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing event. It used to be trauma was like physical abuse, but it's become mental abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse. It's a little bit of everything now, as people are triggered by anything. But trauma is the thing that hits your core buttons and makes you react. Something that sticks with you, something you got to dig out and be able to figure out how to let loose, because those emotions, they got to come out. And what's narcissism? A narcissist is a person who has excessive interest or admiration of themselves. And there's a ton of stuff everywhere, both diagnostically as well as in the zeitgeist of what narcissism is. But unfortunately, what both these two things have become are labels. And labels don't help. Addressing behavior helps. And being able to identify in order to develop a plan helps. So, if you take those labels and develop a plan, maybe it'd be helpful. But a lot of times that's not what happens. Because what happens is, you label somebody as narcissistic, you label someone as trauma, and you go, oh, we can't do that much for them. But there's a lot that can be done to be able to treat trauma. And once there's some insight and a real accurate diagnosis, not just a label of narcissism, then that particular person can develop a lot of skills to be able to address that, develop some insight, and work together. Because narcissistic personality disorder is a personality disorder, and personality disorders are entrenched, but they're not intrinsic. So they've been developed over a long period of time, but they're still a label, and they're still something that is not helpful to put on somebody else. It's only helpful if that person identifies that it's something they need to be able to work on. Because otherwise, it's just an easy reason to write someone off, whether you're an individual, whether it's your partner, whether it's your mother, whether it's your father, whether it's your kids, or whether you're the therapist or the doctor and they've labeled them also and said, well, we can only do so much. But trauma is much more treatable. Trauma is a thing that you can identify, you can work through, because you can't go around trauma, you can only go through trauma. And going through trauma is being able to, in a safe, supportive environment, whether that's with your partner, whether it's with a therapist, whether it's with a doctor, whether that's with your family, creating the safety around it enough to be able to go through it is what's necessary. So how do you do that? Well, you got to walk through your feelings, and you have to become more comfortable with your feelings. Can you fix other people? Absolutely not. But can you support other people to fix themselves? Absolutely. That's my job as a professional. It's your job as a partner. It's your job as a family member to get a sense of family and have each other's back, to be able to create a container, a safe enough place to be able to work through trauma and to identify, do I only care about myself? Do you only care about yourself? When push comes to shove, are you going to support others or just back your own back? And the way to do that is to get through the feelings, develop a palette, a full range of feelings, and work through them. So the label doesn't help. Working through the treatment and the trauma, that's what helps. So if you're ready to start on that journey, make sure you find a safe person and a safe place to do it. Not just somebody who will validate, whether they're a therapist or whether they're your partner, that yeah, those people are narcissistic, or yeah, they're traumatized. And don't start validating yourself and going, oh, because I'm traumatized, I'm triggered and I can't handle that, and just people need to be different. Well, it's not your job for people to be different. It's your job to make yourself different, own the parts of you, and support yourself enough so you can support other people. So What are we talking about today? Definition of narcissism, definition of trauma, how they relate together, because you cannot have narcissism without trauma. And that's my job and professional's job to identify it, to work with it. It's not your job as a partner to point out what other people's trauma and other people's narcissism and other people's labels and other people's personality disorders are. That only creates defensiveness. And with defensiveness, that just creates a barrier, not a container for safety. And we all need to be safe, and we all need containers for safety. Otherwise, we can't do the work. So, if you're ready to do the work, then think about this a little bit. What are you going to take from this? What did you learn? Are you defensive? Did I say things that you went, not me? No, I don't do that. Or you open and go, well, maybe I do that. Maybe I recognize that in other people, but maybe I need to recognize it myself first. It's much more helpful to be open. So take that from it and see where you're at. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Come back when you're ready. And what do you do with it? Well, you treat the trauma and you stop relying on the labels. You don't label narcissism. You don't rely on them to label and write people off because of their narcissism or trauma. You try to support both yourself and others in creating a safe place to work through your trauma for yourself and for others. That will help you be much more relationship ready. Thank you very much, Kevin. We'll see you next time. Put the comments below, share and like, and I appreciate all of you. Take care.